Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast with Eschatology Bible Studies and All Things Fulfill Ministries. I'm William Bell. It's been quite a while since I recorded my last podcast, and I want to apologize for that because I do know that many of you listen and you appreciate the information that we share with you from time to time. I just had to create this podcast because of the excitement for the latest book by Don K. Preston, which is entitled AD70, A Shadow of the Real End. Recently, I had the privilege of reviewing Don Preston's new book, and which is available, by the way, on paperback and on Kindle. You can go to Amazon and order it. It was one of the most exciting and refreshing reads on eschatology I've been privileged to experience in a while. If you've never speed read before or thought it was impossible, just pick up this book. You'll be racing through the chapters to get to the next argument as he dismantles sophistry in the most straightforward and simple fashion. Preston masterfully critiques, dissects, and dismisses the arguments of Gentry, McDermott, DeMar, Beale, and Matheson, to name a few. They all place their confidence and hope in the argument that 70 AD and the destruction of Jerusalem was a type of the real end. Now, let's talk about what we cut our eye teeth on, our baby teeth. This is an argument that we cut our eye teeth on very early in the studies of eschatology. It was made popular by a Church of Christ preacher by the name of Franklin Camp in his book, The Work of the Holy Spirit in Redemption. In that excellent work, Camp laid out about 60 to 70 pages of introductory material establishing 10 critical points on the redemptive historical significance of AD 70. Then, in an almost perfect study, he capsized by arguing that all he had said before to establish that significance was but a type of a future judgment. Camp derailed himself, and apparently these guys never read or understood the fallacy of his paradigm. They drank the dregs from that bitter cup, and Preston has extracted from them an exorbitant price. You must catch the power of this, to use his signature phrase. Now, AD 70, A Shadow of the Real End, challenges all futurist eschatologies. The detractors of covenant eschatology, be they amillennialists, dispensationalists, postmillennialists, or partial preterists, all stake their claim after being forced to retreat from their weakling arguments in debate, print, or public presentation, sought refuge in this one-leg doctrine they hoped would deliver them from the blistering logic of the full preterist paradigm. It backfired. AD 70, Shadow of the Real End, has routed them. I could say more, but the reviews from the back cover of the book should give you a quick taste of what's inside in the book, and neither do it full justice. You must read it, and you must read it today. It will save you from a lot of errors in the future and give you a mountaintop perspective of a landscape of erroneous, faulty logic from futurists, as well as a panoramic view of the truth. In a review by Jack Gibbert, he says the following: AD 70, A Shadow of the Real End. Amillennialists and postmillennialists often speak of the redemptive significance of AD 70, even admitting that Christ came, the end of the age arrived, and even that there was a fulfillment of 1 Corinthians 15 and Revelation 20 at that time. However, they then dismiss AD 70 as a sign of foreshadowing of the real coming of Christ, judgment, and resurrection of the end of the Christian age. Prolific author and debater Don K. Preston, Doctor of Divinity, president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, has now written the definitive refutation of the claim that AD 70 was a foreshadowing of another coming of Christ at the end of human history. In this unprecedented book, Preston adduces 15 reasons, among many more, that could be given why AD 70 was not typological. Dr. Preston's presentation is a devastating, irrefutable critique of the dominionist and amillennial claims. After exegetically demolishing the claims that AD 70 was typological, Preston then presents the logical implications of saying that AD 70 was typological, and this chapter alone is more than worth the entire book. Here is what I had to say about this particular book, A Shadow of the Real End. This book is a game changer. Amillennialists and postmillennialists have been forced to recognize the redemptive significance of the end of the age events of AD 70. They even admit a parousia and resurrection occurred. However, to avoid the implications of this admission, they have sought refuge in the fallacious doctrine that the coming of Christ in AD 70 was but a foreshadowing of the real end. In AD 70, A Shadow of the Real End, Don K. Preston, Doctor of Divinity, has thrown down the gauntlet in his critique of the leading opponents of covenant eschatology, that is, full preterism. The clarity and execution of Preston's logic and ease of style kept me riveted page after page as he dismantled the nonsense from those opponents. Their attempts to maintain their end times paradigms are simply obliterated by the power of the gospel. This book is an exciting scholarly read, flowing beautifully from one argument to the next. Preston has proven that to say AD70 was typological means that another Elijah must come as a precursor to the ultimate end, that the end of the age demands the end of an unending Christian age, that Christ must divorce the church, which is only a type of a new people to come, that the bride of Christ must become a harlot and be destroyed, that Christ does not marry the church at his coming, but divorces her, and much more. This book is a lesson in logic, a master's course in hermeneutics, and a systematic theology of covenant eschatology. I predict it will be a classic study for ages to come. Now, let's look at how you can get your copy of AD70, A Shadow of the Real End. You can purchase your copy of AD70, A Shadow of the Real End today on Kindle for $9.75. Just go to Amazon.com and type in either Don K. Preston or type in AD70, that's AD70, A Shadow of the Real End. Do that today. Do it now. Get a copy of this book and read it. You will be glad that you did. I'm William Bell with All Things Fulfilled and Eschatology Bible Study, saying have a very pleasant day.